Hey guys, so second question comes from someone in our ARC 2 and 2 class. It's me, Mike Taylor. We've got a question coming from someone about the elevations. So the elevations here, I know it's our first foray into Revit, and we're kind of going at lightning speed here, so I appreciate the time. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the question itself. So this person, I wonder if I can zoom just a touch here. Zoom in. I can't zoom. Oh, there we go. So screenshots, super helpful for me to understand what the situation is. We can see here on the right, we've got an east elevation. On the left, we've got the building section. And up top here, we've got the west elevation. So I didn't receive a Revit model, but that's totally fine. I'm going to try and simulate what I think is happening. And you guys are welcome to tell me if this is what's happening to you. So with that being said, let's jump into Revit here. Got my Revit file open. So one thing I didn't go over, which I apologize for, but we're going to do it now, is kind of how these elevation markers are set up. These are a little bit complicated. I find the section markers a little bit more clear as to how they work. I'll show you what I mean when we get into it. So let's just start with the section first, and then I'll go to the elevation. So if you want to skip ahead, go ahead. But the elevation markers, there's a couple components here. This section happens to be cut through the stair, but you'll also notice just a bunch of stuff that's happening with the actual section marker itself. There's this little thing here that's going to flip the view. And what I'll do just for clarity here, why don't I'm going to open up just two views so you can see what's going on. Gotta close all my views here. Close. Hopefully you guys don't have this many views open. And I'm going to do what's called window tile here so you can see both views simultaneously and you can kind of see what's going on in real time. Lower these down just a touch. So you can see I'm looking, in this case, the section is cutting through the stair and it's looking to the east, right? I know that because this is the direction symbol for the section itself. But how do I know the extent of the view, right? So I click on this section here, a couple things here. If I change this, I pull this out, it's going to give me more information, right? If I pull it all the way, it's now looking all the way at this door. If I click this door, it's going to say, oh, I thought it would highlight. I guess it's not going to highlight, but it's looking at that door beyond. If I click on the section view again here, I pull this back, come all the way back, we'll see those doors disappear. So you can see here, this is how far I see in the view. Pull it back. Yeah, makes sense. In the other way, if I zoom out on my section view here, there's also the kind of the views to the north and the south. So how much of this view do I want to crop? If I pull this down, you can see how it's starting to crop the left-hand side of my view, right? If I pull it out the other way, it's going to pull it all the way out. Similarly, on the south side, so I'm going to pull this up and we'll start to see we're cutting back the section view. So for us, probably going to be around here. That looks good, right? So we can pull those to really adjust how much the view is being cropped. We can, of course, also crop the view inside of our section. So if I go ahead and I say I adjust this, I'm going to pull, what am I pulling here? The north side. I should see the north view update, right? I can also pull this up and now it's kind of going back to where I had it originally. So those crops, when we crop the view, is actually also part of the section command, right? So back in the plan view here, we could see how that crop tool is doing both. Remember, it's the same view. They're not twins, they are the same. So when I make any adjustments to the section in the section tool view, I'm also making adjustments to the view itself here in the building section. Okay, I think that one's pretty intuitive to understand. I find the elevations not as intuitive. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to close that just real quick. And the second piece is, what's more frustrating is this. So it looks to me, my friend, like we've moved where this line is, or what can happen is because the view is independent of the symbol, you may have moved the symbol inadvertently and not moved the view. So that's my guess. Really good question. I really appreciate the question. and you end up with basically a section, which is not what we want. So east view, we're looking at, I guess it's going to be the other side here. Jump back into Revit. It's going to be this view. We want to see the veranda. We want to see, the front door currently. So if I click on this, we've got, this is the actual elevation marker itself. So you can see over here in the properties palette, this is the elevation marker. We could change it if we want. Leave it as 12. This is the standard one. It's fine. But if I hover over what I imagine, it can be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you've got. If I click on this, we're going to see this is my view. So again, I'm zooming in here. If I click on where you see this little black triangle, it might be, at the bottom, but in this case, it's on the left. We're looking at the east side of the building. So I'm going to click here, and now we should see a line somewhere. So in my imagination, what's happened is your line is actually, I think you've got it all the way over here. I'd go to here. Are we cutting through the, I can't remember. Oh, we're not cutting through the stair, but we're cutting through basically the basement, somewhere over here. And so similarly to our section, we've got, how far can we see? So how much do we really want to see of our view? And that's the view depth. So how far do I see in the view? And why don't we go ahead and let's check this out. So there's a couple different ways to get to that view. If that's the east, we can either double click inside of our project browser. A different way is we can click on the view here, right click, and go to elevation view. And let's see what we get. Go to elevation view. Ta-da! Not quite what we want, right? So I imagine this is what's happened to you. It's totally cool. It's my bad. We're here now and, want to help you guys out wherever I can. So how do we fix it? So let's jump back to, I'm going to tile my view here so you can see what's going on. What we need to do is actually pull back where that view is in the plan. So can't really do it inside the elevation view, which is, I understand it's frustrating. If I click on the one here, what I'm going to do is do my best to actually pull this. Where do I want the view to start roughly? The default is at the center line of our symbol. So if I just put it at the center line, ta-da, update. How far do I want to see? Maybe I don't want to see all the way here. Maybe I just want to see the veranda. If I pull this, you can see I'm seeing a little bit of the overhang of the roof. All the way back, I should see just the ground, right? So we're probably somewhere in here. We want to see the front of the house. If I pull it more, I don't see much more. But we've also got the crop. So remember the same thing with our section. If I turn on the crop view region visible here, I'll click this. Keep an eye. If I click on my little view marker here, keep an eye on our crop here. If I pull this in, right? So same thing, we're cropping the view using that little view marker tool. So can be really helpful, can also be really frustrating if, for instance, which I think is exactly what happened to our mutual friend here, if I click this and I move it in here, for instance, and now I move the marker back independently, look at that. Revit is not, listen, it's powerful, but it's also, if I click here, it hasn't brought that view with me. So I'm actually going to need to do, real quick, I'll do this again. I'm going to click on the view, this little black triangle, and I'm actually just clicking, holding, and dragging my view back, and it should be that simple. So I hope that was helpful. That question is, super important if you've got some challenges with the elevations here. Really important for me to get to these questions, so keep them coming. I'll do my best to answer any final questions tomorrow if you do have them, so please send them over. And thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and we'll chat soon. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you